down to it and shoot for the sky.
Hello and welcome to the Ring Post Daily Podcast. You're listening to myself, the RPD Ring General, Jesse Henrik, Austin Cochran, Eddie Wade, the future champ, Mr. RPD Prophecy Champion, Tyreek Ramsey, and our special guest today. He is the belt collector. He is the ring king. He is Mr. Matt Silks from HWF. He's also in PWX, Enterprise Pro, Nitrous Championship, and what else? How many places are you with right now?
I would probably say in the neighborhood of about 10 different places. And now
Crazy. It's
5 of those places I'm with all the time. A couple of the other ones we go like a month here, a month there. But it's with it being summertime and everything, we're about ready to be tearing it up with Voltage Wrestling again, hopefully WDWA again here in PA, even in West Virginia.
right.
There's quite a few of those places that you were saying about those promotions. I never would have thought it'd be this many. I mean, I still have my connections with Seven Mountains, CCW, Rob Knox's place, and I've wrestled quite a few places here in PA.
Yeah, and I just seen Extreme Hybrid Wrestling as well.
Yep.
But yeah, you are.
How many states would you say that is?
Believe it or not, it's only 2 states. It's between Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Now, the one company will coincide. They'll go in Pennsylvania sometimes. They'll go to West Virginia sometimes. West Virginia, it's a little bit more, I guess you could say, like, laid back there. They don't require you to have a medical doctor and, all this big insurance stuff like we have to have in PA. I mean, to run a pro wrestling show in Pennsylvania it's a lot of money, and you got to go through a lot of hoops to be able to make that happen. But between two states.
Yeah. All right, and just for our audience at home, you are the current Nitrous Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, the Enterprise Pro Tag Team Champion, and Pro Wrestling Express Tag Team Champion. Are there any that I'm missing?
No, you're pretty much right on there. We're in the fight for the Extreme Hybrid Wrestling Tag Team titles. We're in the hunt for them, and we're in the hunt for the actually 814 and HWF as well.
Right.
So hopefully around the end of summertime we'll walk around with 5 or 6 tag titles.
I was just about to say I was rooting for you guys this last time, and we'll get into it. But I was rooting for you guys last time to take those damn tag team titles off of Neverfall, because you know why? Because John Roden never wrote me back, and I hold grudges.
I bet. I bet he doesn't communicate too much. You got to go pretty much go through Zach to talk to John.
Well, I made the mistake of reaching out to John Roden first to get him on the pod, because I'm like, hey, you guys are the tag team champions. And we talk a little bit back and forth. He never gets back to me. I'm like, well, fine. Then I'm rooting for it.
I'll give him shit about it.
I'm rooting for SOMC then.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, anyways, let's kind of get into this. Just kind of briefly mentioned it here. At the last show, Ass Kicking Saturday Night, there was kind of a kayfabe, kind of a riot going on at the end of that match, and the end of the main event for those tag team titles. What happened there? Like, explain it for those who weren't in attendance.
Well, so we had this is actually a scoop. I haven't talked about this yet since the show. I was waiting to do it till tonight. So huge thank you to you guys for letting me do this here.
Thank you.
Ass Kicking Saturday Night had 2 co-main events. We had the tag team titles that was the Sons Midland County versus Neverfall, and then we had a heavyweight championship match with James Ford versus Van Williams.
Absolutely.
And Van Williams was the main event of the night with James Ford for the heavyweight championship, and the match didn't end. And it was 100% a shoot. The match didn't end. We damn near had a riot in 2024 at the Lewistown Community Center. because there was people they wanted Vam's flesh. They wanted him. And I ended up happened to go out to the ring, and it obviously breaks kayfabe because the first two guys out the door are myself and Zach Ring, going to the ring to make sure that we're not losing our building because, like I said, it's expensive. Right. Some things happen. I won't go too much into detail about what happened, but we've never ended a show like that here in Lewistown. And for 13 years professionally, I've been a pro wrestler and I've been doing things in Lewistown. But for 22 years total, is the amount of times I've been taking bumps here in Lewistown and doing the backyard stuff, all that. We've never had an ending like that. And I mean, it required Trista to apologize and, give free tickets away. And when you're doing that, you're hurting the business.
Right.
So you can't go that direction. My opinion on Vam and what happened with the whole situation is we were trying to go a direction with him to be a good guy. And I thought that we could do that. And, I don't think it would work. I don't think Lewistown would ever bite on that. And it was pandemonium at the biggest meaning of that word. Pandemonium is crazy. I still have yet to look at the footage because I'm not proud of it. That's not how we do things here. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying anything bad about Van Williams. I hope him the best in what he does future and stuff like that. But I know that HWF and us and him, we can't do business. You know what I mean? Because it's not good when things like that happen. But on the other end of things, the co-main event, which, like I said, all my respect to Vam and everything he does in his future, but never fall. John Roden picks up a 100-pound girl soaking wet in the Cherry Bomb pit chick, puts her through an announce table, pretty much, sitting back by the merch. And it's the reason we lost. It's the reason that we didn't bring them those tag team championships. My attention was on John Roden and Zach Rain. He low blowed me, rolled me up. He's a seasoned veteran of the wrestling business, so I expected nothing less than that. I'm not mad about it. I'm happy that I didn't have to go after my wife to get another match. We did have to follow him back through there, and I wasn't happy with that either. I had some profanity in my words and yelling, some things at him, seed things, but hey, they put a girl through a table, and it just so happens to be that girl's like my sister. And you put your hands on her, it's like putting your hands on my wife or my kids, man. These guys are my family. So we took it very, very seriously. But I'm excited that we get match 2 at Summerfest.
Right. And in reality, this is going to be match 3, isn't it? Because you guys had faced once before then, too, hadn't you?
Yes, actually, we've wrestled an 814 against each other about 2 years ago. We wrestled each other in Voltage Wrestling as well. And then this last time was the third time that we met up. Now, this will be number 4. Now, I have a singles match with Zach Rain as well, where I was able to pull out a victory when I was heavyweight champion. But with him with John Roden, it's a completely different. Tag team wrestling is completely different. Let's just say it like that. There's more variables. There's more things that can go bad. If there's more things that can go good, also, you have a partner out there. But at the same time, going into match 4, man, I'm just excited for it.
Well, I know all of us are excited to see the developments, to see how, Summerfest not only is how it comes together, but also kind of what HWF looks like on the other side, because I've seen so much developed over the last 6 months. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next 6 months after that. So,
yeah.
But moving on, Ty, go ahead.
So, Matt, we've seen many wrestlers, kind of have the name, the belt collector, and, they always get it for a reason. So take us back to when you kind of started getting called the belt collector, and then after that, could you also explain, when you got the name the Ring King as well?
I'm just going to interject here,
and
I'm going to say that I'm starting that as the belt collector. I'm starting that.
Yes, you did too. You did. So that kind of answers that question there. Which let me get this out of the way too. As a pro wrestler myself, and hearing a lot of guys get nicknames along the way, you hear guys on commentary. See, I always look to commentary. I'm like, what did they say this show? Is there anything I can market? Is there anything that I can put on something or whatever and put over? Because a guy like myself, I don't invent the stuff for myself. I hear other people say it, and I go with it. So I appreciate that, Jesse. I really do. You guys have given us a lot. The Ring King name actually was probably 14 years old when I come up with the name like TRK, you know, and I was a huge Randy Orton fan, DDP, you know, I was a huge fan of the guys that did the cutters before other people were doing them, overly doing them, I should say. But no, the Ring King thing actually just kind of came out of nowhere. We were in the backyard, and I remember being terrible at promos at one point in my career, and I said something like Torque's Range, because my name was Torque back then in the backyard, Torque. And I'd say Torque's Range just killed you, and it was TRK, but it was way many words there, so I didn't keep that in the pro stuff. They started calling me Matt TRK Silks, and I was like, all right. People were like, what's that mean? And there was a lady who's like, let me guess, the Ring King. And I was like, that's exactly what it means.
There you go.
But I obviously didn't have that in my mind or anything. She just said it, so okay, that's going to be the thing.
Okay. I mean, if it works, it works.
It does. Yeah. It's all been on accident.
All right, Eddie.
So we've seen that you've already accomplished a lot this year, but I'm curious to what your goals are in wrestling continuing through 2024 and going into 2025.
To start off, I mean, I would say getting more opportunities. A guy like me, and you guys saying at the top of this show about how many companies I work for, that's everything I worked for right there. You know what I mean? To hear that, to see that other people are recognizing the fact that we're going out there and we're making waves. My goal, first and foremost, would be to get more opportunities, to get involved with other companies. I don't know if you guys know Big Time Wrestling. You know, they're a pretty big deal. They have Kurt Angle on a show here coming up, and they're reaching out. You know what I mean? It's a little bit on the backside of the business on why they're reaching out, but still, they know who I am. They're looking into me. My goal also, besides wrestling a bunch of other different places with my best friend Artie Mush and the tag team, the Sons, I want to win as many tag team championships as possible. And from here to 2025, that could be hell 10 times over with the pace that we're going out right now. I mean, picking up with EHW, the progress that we have at PWX, and even my own home promotion, where I feel I'm being more tested here now than I've ever been. Whenever you're up against the tag team that you push the bill and you say, hey, like these guys. And the Sons, we're not wrestling them yet. But whenever it comes time for them to wrestle, it's like, hey, you pushed us to the moon. They're not just going to hate us. You know what I mean? So this last show, Ass Kicking Saturday, I can remember being in the middle of the ring and I could hear Never Fall and Sons chants, and never in all this time, 20 so years of wrestling, it's never been a question. It's always either been TRK or whatever I'm doing on that side of things. You know what I mean? So I guess win as many tag team championships as possible, but I really want to get more students at the school too, because I love giving back to the business. I love seeing guys progress. Like you said, 6 months, Pit Chick is on the rise. The Connell brothers doing amazing things. And even Big Philly, one of my other students here. I just want to get back. I want to see these guys get good. You know?
Absolutely. You know what I think would be cool? NWA just kicked off their Crockett Cup, and I think it would be awesome if we see the Sons in the 2025 Crockett Cup. I think if you got in with like NWA, especially like NWA Chicago, one of the, territory promotions, and you kind of got in good with them, get your foot in the door, and then, move on to that actual NWA, main line, that would be chef's kiss.
It would be, and like seeing that, like even hearing that be brought up is something, you know what I mean? Because I know guys that the time that I was taken away from the business, 6 or so years, I was away, and I heard guys that were really going hard on the indies, and they were, I want to try to get into NWA, I want to try to get into GCW or one of these places, and I think that would be the coolest thing in the world for a number of reasons. Obviously, NWA has more history than a lot of other places, and I'll tell you this much. I don't so much have the connections to get into that company besides putting the tape out there, but Pit Chick, Danny Lair, she just actually worked Chelsea the Mother, a woman that is working with NWA right now as we speak. They're going on the road, they're doing their different things, and this girl's getting an opportunity. And she really helped out one of my students. And I thought, this is crazy. A girl from NWA, a big wrestling, like you said, a territory. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's that's crazy. And to be able to have the opportunity to go in there and do something tag team or singles would be cool, but I would really prefer tag team because I think there's something special that me and Mosh have, and I don't see it a lot in other places, and a lot of other people. There's a term in wrestling, the cookie cutter wrestler. I don't think we're that. You
Right.
know what I mean? I think we're a throwback, but it's a throwback that's not that long ago. So
All right. Austin.
So, I was wanting to ask if you currently or used to play any sports, and if so, how did those skills translate to training for professional wrestling?
um, I liked basketball before I really got into pro wrestling, but I was probably like 10 or 11 years old when I started, watching pro wrestling. Me and having the love that I had for the business like super early, I think it kind of like hindered me in a way because I wasn't really able to put my attention on really anything else but how do I become this wrestler? How do I become what I see Shelton Benjamin doing every night? How do I do that? And when I was probably in ninth grade, this is funny, I just told a story last night. When I was in ninth grade, I did the whole high school wrestling thing. I probably did one tournament, maybe, and it wasn't for me. And those guys definitely didn't want to have me along on that trip because I was the guy that wanted to do the pro stuff. And to those guys, what we were doing was fake and in no way, shape, or form. I didn't know that then either. But I would say basketball, because of timing and having to know, like the competition part of it's probably the only part that like translated into wrestling. Now, Michael Jordan and his whole thing, I was a huge fan of Michael Jordan, and I'd watch him jump, and I would be like, you know what I mean? Like he's going off his tiptoes. Maybe I could get a better drop kick that way. Maybe I could get a better clothesline from the top that way or something. So I'd say I like to look at Michael Jordan and I'm like, you know what? Like that guy probably could have been a fantastic wrestler. Tall guy, great gimmick, great look, so
Athletic.
yeah, athletic as hell. So, but no, I didn't really do any other sports. I started backyard wrestling when I was probably 14 or 15 and I've just been doing it pretty much ever since.
And it's crazy to see how athletes, really have changed the game when it comes to pro wrestling, especially over the last, 20 years or so. Because, I mean, you see athletes like Bianca Belair, for instance, she was an Olympic vaulter, I believe. Mark Henry was, of course, a very famous power lifter, literally was the world's strongest man at one point in time. Um, Tiffany Stratton, she was a U.S. gymnastics Olympian. Of course, Kurt Angle, Chad Gable, all these, people who have that athletics background, like you don't understand a lot of time how much these people are legitimate athletes, even though, yes, wrestling is, a mixture of combat sports and a little bit of
Yeah,
storytelling and drama and
yeah,
whatever else is mixed in, but these are legitimate athletes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
They
it's
are.
cool to see the skill sets and how they took from their previous athletic experiences and how they use certain things like you just mentioned, Matt, in pro wrestling. When you're talking about timing and all that stuff. When it came to basketball, it's cool seeing different areas because of course, world's strongest man, Mark Henry, he obviously was just strong and would use that
I
to
really
his
wish
advantage.
I
Yeah,
would have knew how
yeah.
to take a
What a
bump when I
thing to
was
have
playing
too.
basketball. I could have got a lot of charges that way.
There
Yeah, could have,
you go.
could have definitely.
Well, speaking of legitimate athletes, I want to kind of pivot here and talk about HWF's women's division because you guys have quietly built a very strong division, starting with Pitchick, Danny Lair, and Shaw, and then you moved on to having Brooks and Metro, and now you're bringing in Riley Crow. I mean, there's been talk ever since, I think even before Madness of the Coliseum, there was talk about it, but when are we going to get that HWF women's title? And, what does that kind of look like for you in the division? Is there something you're waiting for, or is it coming?
It is definitely coming. The whole, I won't lie. When I when my wife and I started HWF, I was really into one thing. I wanted to have the best of the best that was in PA wrestling under one roof. But I really didn't at the time have any really connection to talking to any female wrestlers at that point. Danielle wasn't even with us at that point. But I want to say after I seen Danny take a couple bumps up here at training, and then Rodney and I started talking about, maybe she manages, RD Mosh. Maybe she manages the Sons of Mifflin County. And then it went from that to, to having matches. And her and Ashlyn Shaw, they're pioneers if you think so.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because they're the first of any women to have a real professional wrestling match here in the Lewistown Community Center. And I was like, you know what? This is something. It felt good. The whole lead up was awesome. I seen how Dan was like captivating. You know what I mean? She really was. And not knowing too much about the wrestling business, she watched what me and Mosh have been doing, and she just kept turning it up at ringside. Fantastic manager. And then she starts learning the craft of the business. Now she's, this weekend, we're going out of town just for Pit Chick, so she can have her match one-on-one this weekend, and we're excited about that. But the whole thing with having the girls come here stemmed off of Ashlyn Shaw and what the Pit Chick did. And obviously we got a chance to see Angel Metro. We got a chance to listen to her words, and I'm like, wow, that's a great promo. And she's good in the ring. She was trained by Jimmy Valiant. Like, that's incredible. Yep, I want to have her here. And then, you find out that Riley Crow's out there too. Riley and Angel both know each other.
They
so
seem
this
really
is
excited.
awesome. Now we have a connection here. What's that?
They both seem very excited based on their social media activity. Like, just watching them go back and forth. Like, they want this match just as much as you do.
Yeah. I think it's awesome, and I'm excited for it. I'm also the guy that like designs all the stuff. I design like the belts and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. But I also want to have a woman's opinion. You know what I mean? I don't normally edit for people to like a crew of people sitting here. I normally do it for when it's just me. But I want to have different input on this, you know what I mean? Because it's a completely different division. And I think, if it's another division, they should have a say in it. And with the matches that I want to have over the next 6 to 8 months, I think that we're probably going to have the women's championship by either October or the beginning of the year, which, would be January. But I'm extremely excited about the women's thing. Now, I did see Angel Metro on there saying about after they wrestle each other and they patch it up, they're going to go after the whole division. I have this, or a whole company, I should say. I have this idea, me and Mosh, after we see them wrestle, or we're just going to hang back in the the locker room there and be like, hey, we heard you chirping. You want to do a tag team match? Because I'm not above wrestling women.
I was just about to ask you that. I was going to say, what is, the company's stance on intergender? Because it's very common on the indies, but some places have a very firm, affinity for staying away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, myself, 100% personally, I don't like seeing guys punch girls. I was raised that, that doesn't happen. But it is a very different world now. There's a lot of things that personally, if I was in my ways like a lot of these other promoters, I think we wouldn't have a successful company like we do. And I'm not saying that we're the most, over company, but we draw pretty good. And I credit that to keeping my ears and my eyes open. I may not like something, but that doesn't mean that other people aren't going to like it. You know what I mean? So who knows? I know that at one point we were talking about having an intergender match here. Something ended up happening on the show that, people were needed in other matches, and that just kind of happened. But I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not above it. I would wrestle anybody. You know what I mean? You put on boots, you put on your knee pads, let's get in the ring, and I'll wrestle you. And I respect those people that do that. But I really would rather see the girls do the girls and the guys do the guys. But I don't know. Anything can happen.
All right. Well, it's great to hear.
It's crazy how how it's perceived. It's like it's that type of thing is like it's almost accepted in pro wrestling because that it's perceived as fake, which it's not. It is not. It's definitely real. But because it's perceived that way, people are kind of more comfortable with that happening in pro wrestling. I think maybe, people looking from the outside in, which maybe they wouldn't do it in other sports, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. I think that the element of telling stories is what makes it okay. I mean, I watched.
Yeah.
I was completely against it when I very first started watching different, guys and girls wrestle, and then I seen China and Y2J doing their things, and then I seen Johnny Gargano and his wife wrestle,
Yes.
and I was like, that's amazing. Like that's what I'm doing. Like that's what I want to do. So like I didn't really look at it as a gender thing. I looked at it as two people that were amazing at what they're doing, and they're just kicking ass. It's awesome.
Speaking of Candice LeRae and intergender matches, have you ever seen her matches with Cedric Alexander when he gives her that lumbar check? Oh, isn't that
Yeah.
disgusting? She
Ooh,
flies
yeah.
literally across the entire ring.
Yeah.
Now I
I
gotta
know
look
if you've
look it
never
up.
I
seen
can't
it.
remember. I can't remember if it was. I don't know if it was Candace. It might have been Candace. I think it was PWG, and I think the Young Bucks. I think Matt Jackson put on a shoe that had the thumbtacks on the bottom, and I think he super kicked Candace LeRae.
Yeah, no,
I'm pretty sure.
she is a very underrated and underused person on WWE's roster, because if you look at the things she's done, not only in the NXT, but also like you said, PWG, GCW, that's where she really shined.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She
And
flourished in the.
something
Yeah.
like that, it's like maybe not a lot of male wrestlers would even be willing to do, take thumbtacks to the face. So that's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And now she's just a mom, and she shares Bluey memes and stuff, or at least she used to before this new character change. But it's weird seeing how people translate those two different parts of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed the way a lot on NXT.
Oh God, the way were a highlight, especially in those kind of darker days of Black and Gold NXT, where things were winding down. It wasn't the super indie that it used to be, but man, the way was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. I think I want to say that's like how Austin Theory really got his look there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think without the way, I don't know if he's doing what he's doing right
Yeah,
now.
and the funny thing is a lot of people forget that Austin Theory, before he was part of the way, he was one of Seth Rollins' kind of cronies. That was
One of his disciples. I remember that.
That was kind of during the time where everybody just kind of turned their brains off because it was the pandemic. Nobody really paid that much attention because we had all our other things to deal with. But yeah, no, he was on the main roster before he was on NXT, which was strange.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
He looks the part, and he works great too.
yeah.
So.
Well, and I can't remember who said it, but somebody, I think it was Randy Orton, just pegged him to be like the next big, next big guy who's going to be around for 10, 20 years. So, I mean, that's a huge endorsement from Randy Orton.
Huge. Yeah, I agree.
Ty.
So Matt, you mentioned that earlier that you post a lot. In one of your recent posts, you mentioned how running a business with your family is a blast. Could you kind of go into detail about what that means to you and what each of your family members, what role they kind of play in, the business and how it runs?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'll go back as far as my mom and dad. Like, I don't think they understood that they were like, priming me to do what I'm doing now. I mean, I think they just thought maybe it was like a phase I would go through. I can remember even hearing conversations like that, like, oh, he's going to break his neck. Oh, he'll get first time he hurts himself, he won't do it anymore. My mom and dad have always been huge supporters, and, like they helped me get through a lot of stuff when I was in high school, you know what I mean? Kept me in a positive place and really believed in me to be a wrestler. And then, I met my wife. I met the best thing in my life. I met her because I'm a wrestler, because I was at a backyard event. I ended up dating a girl for a minute, and she ends up being Trista's best friend. So I'm like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? I get to meet Trista this way. And like 13 or so years, you know what I mean? We're just like grinding, watching wrestling, doing the thing. She followed us everywhere. She went on the road with me. When we had the kids, you know, a lot of that kind of changed. You know, she had to be home, you know, and I would go out and do the thing, and every now and then she'd be with us. And I kind of took my hiatus there from 2014 until about probably 2018. I really started thinking about coming back to wrestling. My son, who is 13 years old, he does all of the video work for HWF and PWX
Awesome.
and even EHW at this point. Yeah, 13 years old and is a fantastic videographer. Does all the stuff backstage, everything on the fly that we ask him to do. He's fantastic, and he's making money doing it. It's a legit thing that he wants to get better at. He wants to keep buying his stuff, and it's not like he sees it on YouTube. No, he's with us on the road every weekend. A 13-year-old kid that could be wanting to hang out with his friends or playing video games, but he'd rather be out on the road because he loves pro wrestling. He likes watching us do it. There's downsides to that too, you know, because wrestling is not fake. I can count 3 times in the last 7 weeks that something damn near catastrophic happened to me, and my son is standing right there ringside videotaping it. When we won the EPW tag titles, I busted my face open, lost a tooth. 2 or 3 weeks later after that, did the moonsault, smashed my face off the ring at EHW, and I was like, oh my God, my son's right there videotaping that. And then there's other things that happen at training too that he videotapes, and it's like, you know, he never questions it. He's never like, Dad, are you going to be okay? But not only that, like my wife does all the paperwork. She does all the ticket stuff, all the stuff that I would never be able to do. You know what I mean? Contacting the athletic commission, to the doctor, to all of that stuff. And then, you know, you have the event days where you're making 10 to 12 different trips a day to your house and to the venue to make sure that you have everything there. And it's like back and forth. And my youngest son, he helps a lot there too. My oldest is into this video game stuff, but not playing it so much, building it, making these things. And he's not so much into wrestling, but he knows what it's about. He's been around it. And I love that whenever we do these HWF events, it's like, it really is a family thing because you see the same people every month. It's just good to see them before the shows. It's good to have a family environment before you even start the show. Everybody's just trying really hard to give the best show possible. Our shows start at 6 o'clock, and 9 times out of 10 are over around 8 or a little bit after 8. We like to have the show go right on through. No hiccups. I think we have the most respectful locker room. I do. And I've been in a lot of locker rooms in the last 2 years. And I would so much even go to say our show runs much more smooth than anything that I get to see out the road. And that's not a shoot on anybody else. It's just I've learned a lot by traveling so much and having all these years. You know what I mean? So I love having my family be part of it and them being along with me. It's a big thing. On my wrestling gear, I have my wife's initials and both my son's initials, so they're with me every time that I'm in the ring. So I just love it. It's fantastic.
Now, speaking of Trista, last time we spoke to both, you know, you guys as the Sons of Mifflin Trio, and then we spoke with her after. Since then, you guys recently had acquired PWX. Are there any other promotions that you guys are actually running now? Like, how many is there now?
I want to say Trista's involved obviously heavily with HWF, and in the last year, I want to say she's really like busted out of the curtain. You know, like people are chanting for her now, and then she got picked up for EPW by being a commissioner, and then there was PWX, a company that's got 30 some years of experience and all these moments, and they wanted my wife to be the CEO of the company.
Say she was handpicked.
And that's like a legit thing.
She was handpicked, right?
Yeah, yes, she was.
Right.
Yes, she was. It was selectively handpicked. I remember being in the office and talking to the owner of the company, and him being like, "This is what we want to do." She, you know, she's a beautiful woman, and I think she understands the business, and it would look really good for us. And I was like, "Hey, whatever you guys want to do." I think that there's another company down the line here that she's going to be doing stuff for, but at the same time, her not being an in-ring talent, it helps in so many ways because the things that I don't see, she sees relays it to me. Relays it to me. Make sure that I get this information. And she's also able to tell, like, hey, this show is good. Maybe this one not so much. So her intelligence on being a promoter has grown immensely by the interactions that she has with talent, by being able to reel me in and being able to remind us things that we need to be reminded. You know what I mean? She's almost like the mother of the group if you think about it. So, I don't know. I'm really proud of her. I can't wait to see what she does.
That's awesome. And I said it, I say it every time we talk to you guys, but as much as we appreciate Trista for being a legitimately what seems like an amazing boss, an amazing person, God, I just want to see her turn heel. I think she would be a badass heel. Like,
I could see that. I honestly,
just seeing
I could
the way she commands the ring, like, just I can see it. She's got that Stephanie McMahon aura about
it's
her.
It's kind of like
just something for the future.
Yeah. Yep. And I guess that's the goal, right? I mean, there's like two girls that come to mind for if you're a girl and you're trying to become a wrestler. And then there's a girl that if you're just getting in the business of being a valet or learning the business, you look at Lita. Obviously, she could do anything. And then you got Stephanie McMahon that literally was amazing and everything. She even worked herself. You know what I mean? So I want to say that the goal is to have her perceived that way. So that's awesome that you guys see it that way. And she's got this thing that we call resting bitch face that works a lot in her.
I didn't want to say
also,
that.
which she says all the time.
I didn't want to say because I didn't want to be disrespectful, but yes, I see it.
Yeah, yep. I need to get her a shirt made that says that on it because, like, there's a lot of places we'll go and she'll be like, these people probably think that I don't like them. And I'm like, well, just smile once or twice. Maybe they'll come up to you and talk to you.
She's
awesome. I love it.
She's both very intimidating and then, like, in stature she's not intimidating, so it's a very strange combination because she has the aura about her, but she's, as you've said before, she's this very, like, small, non-threatening looking woman, but then if you know who she is and what she does, you're like, oh my god, this woman could kill me. Like, that's the aura she gives off.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad that's
Trista.
being perceived because we worked on that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we love Trista and we
that's awesome.
want nothing but the best for her.
Hell yeah,
go ahead,
dude.
Eddie.
So, being a two-time world champion, currently one right now, what does that mean to you on both a personal level and a professional level?
Everything. It means everything. Whenever when I won the HWF heavyweight title, that was like, obviously, that's all I could think of whenever I was trying to become a wrestler was being on the second rope, raising the heavyweight championship up, being the guy, the only guy that is carrying this ship along. You know what I mean? And people are watching them matches. And that's the thing. I didn't want to just be the champion. I wanted to be the guy that was like, every match that he has, even if it's not the best, it's talked about in some way. Either because maybe there was heat before the match, or maybe there's something that happened in it that made it better. I didn't want to just be the champion. I wanted to be the guy that, represented wrestling, represented pro wrestling, like Bret Hart. I wanted to be like Bret Hart. Yes. And that, to me...
I could have a match with anybody.
Yes. You got to be... To me, like, I look at wrestling now and I'm like, you know what? The guys that are champion right now really do deserve it. They really, really, really do. And when I had won mine, I didn't know if I deserved it because obviously I have a lot to do with what's created here in HWF, and my wife does, and we have two other people that help as well. And at the time that I became HWF champion, it was like we needed a feel-good moment. Sickened, our original champion, he was injured, and that sucked. We couldn't have a title defended, and they pulled the trigger on it. They were like, hey, maybe this is the time to do it. You've been talking a lot about wanting to become champion. Let's do it. And in a lot of ways, I think that championship run was like the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me understand that I don't have to be a singles guy to love pro wrestling. Like, sharing the ring with my best friend it's the funnest thing that I've done in the business by far. You know what I mean? We've met some amazing people. Being NCW heavyweight champion is a little bit different. It's a company that doesn't get to run as many times as HWF and these other companies. So over time, it's like, yeah, they're going to say it's like a year long or something that I've been champion or whatever. I go off of the amount of matches you have. We're about ready to do another show for NCW, and I can't wait to defend that title. But being the world championship is everything. And if you don't want to be the world champion, I don't understand why you're in the game. You know what I mean? And like, being tag team champion now is what it's all about, because now you're the top echelon of tag team wrestling. It's not just the single stuff. It's not just about one guy. It's bigger when it's a group, I feel.
And I think a lot of people might, look at that first run, that initial run as, HWF, heavyweight champion, and they could look at it as, they run the company with his wife. It's like a nepotism thing, but it's not. And I think, hearing you talk about it is really good for people to hear, because, taking on that responsibility, it is a responsibility. You are putting the company on your back, and you are taking on that responsibility of leading. It's not just an accolade. And I think a lot of people miss that about the behind the scenes part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was, to be honest with you, it was like a confidence chip that I needed, to be honest with you, like 100% honest. Like, I can remember even like thinking like maybe this will do it for me. Maybe this is all I need to do, and then maybe I'll be happy. And then it was like, okay, then we win the tag team championships, and then another heavyweight championship. And it's like, you know what? Like, this is awesome. I love doing this. But there was a lot of people that said, well, the guy's just putting himself over. You know what I mean? He's holding a pencil, so he's putting himself over. And I know I don't want to go too far into it and spoil anything, but there's a lot of things that we plan on doing over the next year. And there's one in particular that even if there's someone that thinks that I put myself in that position, that's all right. Let them think I put myself in that position, because I did. I made this opportunity for myself. And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's supposed to be? And if I was maybe only wrestling for just HWF, I could see that. But we're everywhere that you can be in PA right now. And in my opinion, you know what I mean? If the boss wants it to happen, then we're making it happen.
Right. Absolutely. Austin, if the dog will give you a chance to speak, sounds like they want to get in here and ask some questions.
He wants to.
She's got a lot to say. But yeah, absolutely. So I understand that the last time you were on, you were asked how you got into the business. So I'd really like to know what kind of keeps you coming back. What drives you to keep taking the bumps and ride the road, especially as hard as you have this year?
I would want to say probably just seeing the people that I'm training get the opportunities that they're getting. Every person at the school is getting opportunities now. At one point, it was like 3 or 4 guys will get it. Then it was like 5 or 6. Now everybody at the Mifflin County Wrestling Academy, they all have opportunity. They all get booked when we go out on the road. And one of the things that continues to like make me want to continue to do it is the different crowd reactions that I get at these new different places. It's like you're meeting new people. It gives you almost like a new perspective on something that something that's so familiar. And it's like every place I go, it's like, man, it's different. It's like, well, this one doesn't even feel like a wrestling show. This feels like, all I'm doing is just hanging out with the fans, you know what I mean? And they love us here and they hate us here. But I would say the fans are my driving thing. But besides that, I just love watching my guys get opportunity and seeing them grow on the road. And it's all about that. You know what I mean? If you're getting in the game of wrestling, it is to get as much experience as you can. And hearing my top guys look at me and say, hey, man, I just passed 50. I just passed 100 matches. Like, that's amazing. That's what we worked for. We've been on the road for 7 weeks straight. Like, this weekend ends a loop that has been crazy. 7 weeks straight has been wrestling, running shows, training, writing shows, going back out and running again. After this weekend, we have a 1 weekend break, and then it all starts over again, 8 weeks.
Wow. It's craziness. Yeah, I mean, we all, as you know, the audience, we see how much work you guys are putting in. Especially as yourself, the Suns. I've been seeing a little bit more of Neverfall, even though I don't like you, John Roden. I've seen you guys are putting in work. Of course, Pitchick, you just talked about her opportunity. Seen like you said, the Connell brothers are getting opportunities. I see so many people who it seems like you've kind of reached out and you've touched their careers. So I love to see that.
Mm.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
great to see.
it's what it's all about. Yeah, I credit Rob Noxious for that, man. And seeing him watch his students, and like even when I was away, I'd get back to shows and I'd watch him tell other people about what they messed up in matches and stuff, and I'd be like, man, like I just want to be a teacher. And since I trained, Danny, R.D. Mosh, Edward James, all these guys, like they're winning championships now. They're getting bigger opportunities, and everybody wants to book them. Hell, we're going to New Jersey this weekend and Danny's the only one that's booked. She's getting this opportunity in Triple WA. I'm really excited for it. This is going to open more doors even for us here at the rest of the guys at the school. But I love it, man. And another guy, Nick Taylor from Riot City, second. He's another guy. He just touches people and it changes their career. And one, you got to have certain type of either stroke, power, or influence to be able to do these things, and to be able to do them is pretty awesome. I would say helping people and crafting people has been my best achievement in the business of pro wrestling.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Well, I kind of want to end this by talking about August 17th, talking about Summerfest. HWF's arguably their biggest show of the year. We've got 3 matches that have already been announced. Can you just kind of give those to the audience who might not know about them yet? And is there anything else you can share about, the show that's going to be happening?
Yes, I can actually. I was somewhat prepared this time. For Summerfest, the big ones that we're putting over right now are obviously the match just made by the Ring Post Daily here the other day. It was announced that Angel Metro will face off with Riley Crow in the women's division. We're really excited about that. I think this is the first inkling that you're going to see that the women's championship is coming, the ladies championship, whatever it's going to be called. Another match that was made was the heavyweight champion James Ford, who has been undefeated in HWF since he joined. He beat me by breaking my ribs and the whole 9 yards. He's been a hell of a champion. He's going up against Madness the Trip, and then you got the Sons of Mifflin County that are going against Neverfall for the rematch. And we got, obviously, Pit Chick's going to be on the card. We got Ashlyn Shaw is going to be making her return. Edward James versus Mr. Amazing will be making graphics and stuff for these matches. There's a 3-way match with Sledge Gibson, John Washington, and his trainer. He goes as Sin, S-I-N. This guy's going to be coming in. They're doing a 3-man match. That would be let me see, it's Triple Threat. And then I have, obviously, Big Philly will be in a big segment. One of the guys that I'm training here. A big guy. He's picked up the business in different strokes. A lot of guys pick it up a little quicker. This guy's hilarious, and we're really building his character to be funny so that the crowd can really invest into it. I think we're going to see Austin Connell, Ace Connell. I think we're going to see him make a major stride as a singles guy. His brother's taking some time off right now. He just had a young baby, and we're all, cheering for him and hoping that he does good. But I think we're going to see Ace Connell rise up and start being more of a singles cat here while his brother's away.
Okay.
But Neverfall in Sons of Mifflin County. I'll give you this. Match 2 at HWF, it's going to be memorable, but there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're winning those tag team championships. There's nothing anybody can say. Mosh and myself were primed, and we're getting them August 17th at Summerfest.
I was gonna ask specifically about that match and what you feel like is going to be different with that encounter. Obviously, Pitchick has been barred from ringside. We know that, but how is it going to be different mentally for you guys going into that? And what would it mean to win those newly minted titles?
Um, to win the tag team championships is one thing. There's a lot of different things going into the Suns versus Neverfall. When this is all said and done, the slogan will say, "The Sons of Mifflin County never fall." That's what it's going to be. Because at the end of the day, my interest is not just in the tag team championships. They took a person that is very, very special to my heart and in my team, put her through a table at a show. I seen that they would resort to anything. They gave me a low blow and rolled me up, a guy that I respect so much in Zach Rain. And to see what the measures that they shrunk down to doing, it actually prepared me. And I don't think they understand. They made the pit chick even that much more professional. She can go around now and tell people I can go through a table. I'll get the hell back up too. You know what I mean? And she did. And she's barred from ringside because she doesn't like John Roden either. So her and you, Jesse, you guys have a lot in common. She don't like John Roden either.
I knew I liked her.
And I think, yeah, there's another reason to like her, but I also think that the strategy's a lot different going on to this match. Like I said, I know what they're going to resort to. I know what they will resort to. I mean, I have this thought in my mind. I have, it's me and R.D. Mosh standing on the horizon here in Lewistown holding all these championships. But to be able to be the guys that upset Neverfall, to be the guys that defeated the undefeated streak. 63 matches these guys have had. 5 years, they've never lost a match as a tag team. The Suns are going to be the ones that get them this time. And to me, the best thing in the world could be R.D. Mosh and myself being tag team champions right here in HWF, and that's happening August 17th.
I think that is a great way to end this podcast. Definitely, we're looking towards the horizon for August 17th. We're going to have plenty more HWF personnel on the cast between now and then. We have Steve Steele slated for next month, so keep an eye out for that podcast. But from the whole of Ring Post Daily, myself, Jesse Henrik, the RPD, Ring General, Austin Cochran, the future champ Eddie Wade, Mr. RPD Prophecy Champion Tyreek Ramsey, and of course our special guest today, Matt TRK Silks, the belt collector. This has been the Ring Post Daily Podcast, and we wish you all a good night and happy wrestling.